I'm KM Best. I'm joined by Marvel Snap artist Justin Fields to rate some of the cards that Justin Fields, has drawn. Now, Justin has a little bit of a history with Marvel Snap. It's been a while since he's been playing, but I do know that he does know the basics. Justin Fields, would you care to introduce yourself to my audience? Anything they need to know about you before we ask you to rate the power level of the cards you've drawn in this game?
I'm a concept artist, illustrator, creative guy from Hollywood. I worked in TV, video games, movies. Last film I worked on was Predator Badlands, and I've been working in video games, including Marvel Snap, including Insomniac Spider-Man. And I've done a bunch of Star Trek stuff for television, and I think the last thing I did for TV is on its way to the screen, called Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. So that'll be fun to see. I've also been playing Marvel Snap since the beginning, and I'm a huge fan. So
in the prep for this episode, because there's a fine balance of like, I want you to know the basics of the game, but I don't want you to know any of the meta stuff really in order to be able to rate these cards. So we went back and checked. It was like, when's the last time he played seriously? It was like, looks like there were like 2 out of the last about 20 to 24 months he played enough to get the card back, which I consider valid enough to have him on Rate the Cards, because a lot of things change in Marvel Snap a lot of the time. So with that said, I mean, I think we're going to jump right in to, you've listed an incredible resume. I'm sure this might be at the bottom of it, but here is Arishem, a 7/7, game start, shuffle 12 new cards into your deck. On turn 3, you get +1 max energy.
kind of broken.
Interesting.
In a game, in my opinion, I feel like he gives you more cards in a card. Well, see, I don't know. I come from my first card game was Magic.
Sure.
Right. So like anything that gave you the opportunity to have more cards than your opponent kind of felt like it was broken. But I don't know, like I've seen everyone, both. I've seen the love, I've seen the hate. And for me, I think what I really like the most is the fact that it pulls the artist who did the Arishem.
Yes.
Like that is such a cool, unique feature that I wish I would have came up with. But hats off to Second Dinner for that little addition to the card. What a clever way to showcase your favorite variant artist if they did an Arishem. And I think there's a ton of Arishems out there, isn't there? Yeah.
Tons. And I think one of the interesting things about the position you're in, because like you've done, I want to say 16 to 19 cards in Marvel Snap that are released, is my understanding. Somewhere in that range, is that I think the community sometimes relates to Arishem variants in the sense of like, if you've done 90 variants, I'm more likely to get that Arishem because I get more variants for free off of that. And consider this, my plea to Second Dinner to get more Justin Fields variants in the game, because I have the Justin Fields Arishem and I would love to get more of those pieces of art off of that. No, in terms of gameplay, I mean, like, Arishem is polarizing, but I think generally he hovers more in the like, this is a deck you can legally play more than this is a deck that's broken kind of thing.
It feels like it's fun. Like it's a fun way to start playing in the early ranks if you have him, right? Yeah.
Like he is a deck that I think feels a lot worse to lose to for certain kinds of people, and so that makes him have this polarizing reputation, a lot of which was earned when he was a much better card than he is right now. But he typically, I think, would be like, this is a card that's like pretty okay, but his uniqueness and all the cool things that he does, that typically bumps him up like a new player's acquisition list because he is so much of the deck in himself.
Now, was when he first came out, if refresh my memory,
Sure.
was it just there was just a +1 energy,
Yep.
or was like it forever,
Yep.
right? Like on every turn,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
now
yeah,
it's
yeah.
for turn 3. So I just reread the card. I was like, oh wait, that's new. I
And I
guess
changed.
I haven't remembered. I haven't played him in a while, so I was like, oh, I forgot that there's changes in this
Yep.
game. So yeah, I feel like they definitely balanced him out. I guess because
Yeah.
I have felt like just having one card permanently, whether you pull them or not, giving you a +1, like that's pretty. I don't know. That's pretty powerful in my opinion. But yeah,
He's still strong enough, but the energy matters the most on the turns where you have the least energy, because that's when you're
yeah,
gapping your opponent by the most, right? So if you have 2
yeah,
on 1, that's a huge deal. You have twice as much
yeah,
energy as them. And so by pushing it later into the game, you are not gapping your opponent by nearly as much in terms of early tempo, which makes
yeah,
the deck just a lot more fundamentally fair.
yeah. I would agree. I would agree.
Next up is Hulkbuster 2/3 on reveal. Merge this into one of your cards here. Now, it's been years since you played the game, but this guy was there. This guy has
Oh
been
yeah,
there the whole time.
yeah, yeah.
Hulkbuster, good or garbage?
Uh, I think he's good. I think he's good for the low cost. Especially when you combo off of like if I'm remembering this correctly, if you combo him off, with like Symbiote Spider-Man, uh, where he absorbs from another character. That's how it is, right? If I remember correctly.
Symbiote
How does Symbiote
Spider-Man
Spider-Man work?
absorbs another character. They're not exactly built to work together, but they
No.
go in similar types of things because both
Yeah.
of them combine into one. It's just this guy combines into one by going on top of something, and Symbiote Spider-Man combines into one by like swallowing the other thing.
In terms of just comic book lore,
Sure.
I wish the power that he added was instead of adding 3, I wish he would either double or triple, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, this is a suit designed to fight the Hulk, so it should like it should almost combo with Iron Man. Like if Iron Man's on the field and you put this out, then it doubles the effect of Iron Man already doubling, right? Like because that's just how my comic book brain works.
Yeah,
You
I
got to
think
be able to fight the Hulk, So
does have to be able to fight the Hulk. Is it almost like a flavor loss that if you equip Iron Man with this, it's only like 6 power? Like, is that kind of where you're like,
yeah,
it's like
bummer.
it needs to be equal to the Hulk's power. It's a problem. No, Hulkbuster's a little bit of a bad card, to be honest with you, or at least a very
Is it?
specific card. Like, this is a
Yeah.
card that will only ever see play if you have a super compelling reason to merge cards. So right now, it sees play sometimes in a deck with multiple man, where the idea is you put the Hulkbuster on the multiple
Oh,
man, and then that makes copies of itself. Things like that tend to be where it shows up, where it's not actually going to be a common metagame played card. You're only ever going to see him in like really specific scenarios. Right now, one
yeah.
of those decks is pretty good. It's about as good as Hulkbuster's been in 4 years. So like even
Oh,
at the apex of Hulkbustering,
yeah.
he's still like okay kind of deal.
Does he work with Mysterio?
Like the new Mysterio, where like if Mysterio gets the power, will he give it to the other one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Like you
interesting.
like
I haven't even
all
tried that yet. Yeah.
buffs work with Mysterio in the
Okay.
sense that like if you give Mysterio extra power and then activate him, he will give that extra power to the other Mysterio.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I wish this one was a little bit more powerful. Just because I had so much fun painting. Painting it.
I mean, if you want, tell me a little bit about your process here. Like, what is it that you do that, because you have a very unique art style among Marvel Snap artists. It tends photorealistic or like photo futuristic almost. Like, it gives the impression of photorealism, but it's like actually very sci-fi.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I mean, it comes from. I guess my style is kind of based on what the film industry wanted at the time when I was getting into it, and that was the realistic lighting as true as you can get it, but still be loose enough to where you can get these done in a day or two, right? So I am primarily a concept artist and an illustrator second. So I learned how to do everything I did by sculpting my shapes out in ZBrush, lighting it, posing it in there. Um, and I like when I do the hard surface stuff, I treat it like it's a toy. So I chop it up into different sections so that I can pose it in whichever way I want. Because in ZBrush, if I start to bend and twist things, and it's really great for organic shapes, but for hard surface, you got to treat it like it's almost like a toy, right? Like joint systems and all that. Um, so I kind of just place it. Like if you were to rotate him, he'd be broken. There's no elbows. You don't see any elbows, and that's not because I'm trying to hide. I don't want to draw. I don't want to draw elbows. It's just because that angle, I'm only sculpting and drawing what the viewer is going to see in order to get an approval, and then I will go back and finish a design once a director or uh, production designer tells me yes, that's a go ahead. Like this is the one we want, and then I'll finish the design front, back, top, down, all that stuff, and do a call out sheet and all that kind of stuff. So primarily, most of my stuff starts as a 3D sculpt, rendered with lighting, and then I go back in and add details like sometimes I add cut lines, the glowy bits, which are your favorite.
I love a glowy bit.
I'm a sucker for lens flares. If I can add them in, I will.
You and Michael Bay, man.
Right. I guguess I'm a child of that era. The J.J. Abrams bug bit me early on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so a lot of it is based off of 3D with heavy paint over, and then that's what you see, in front of you. But what's really interesting is that with a little bit of, I guess, finality and finishing up some of the models, some of these could be 3D prints.
That's actually super cool. The idea of just like walking into someone's room and seeing the Hulkbuster. Like I understand it would be basically impossible to like 3D print this at real size, but it is like the kind of thing that you'd see at like a gaming office, right? Like someone just has 3D printed 6-foot Hulkbuster.
My office isn't well lit, but if you could, I have like 4 Iron Man life-size busts. I have the Hot Toys Hulkbuster back there. Nice. Yeah, I'm a nerd. I got a Thanos in the chair. Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Next up, we have Onslaught 6/8 ongoing. Your other ongoing effects here apply an additional time. I'm going to clarify this one for you because they did change him recently. He used to double them. Now he only +1s them.
Oh, that's not as fun. That's not as fun. I was a huge, comboing him with Wong, whatever combo with that, with anybody, Mystique, Wong, Onslaught, and then whatever character I wanted to go crazy with, whether that was a Silver Surfer or
if you were an evil person, it was a Gambit.
Yeah. It was evil person, yeah. For sure, yeah. I was one of those. I was a terrible person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we all have pasts, Listen,
I'm just trying to climb that ladder. I'm just trying to get that card back.
Yeah.
After that, I stopped.
Overall thoughts, though, like, do you think this is still a good card? Do you think it's a card that people are like, how good do you think this guy is now? Now that you can't, gambit your opponent's entire board with him.
I would think that he'd be less cost to get out then. I don't know if he's worthy of a turn 6 anymore. Does that make sense? I don't know.
No, I think that's basically true. Like I do think
maybe
that, like,
turn 4 or 5, but not a 6. Not not a finalizer, right?
I think that's basically true. Yeah, like I do think that's like he's definitely a little bit underpowered right now. He'd be a lot more interesting if he was like, maybe you take enough stats off of him that it's like really meaningful, but like a 5/5 Onslaught would be like a pretty compelling game piece. 6/8 Onslaught, the 6 is the big problem here. Like that is, I don't know how many points you'd be willing to give up in order to get him to 5 cost, but I think it's significant. Like I think you could, like, what you want to do with this guy is so much about his effect and so little about his stats that I do think that if they wanted him to be like a really good card, that could be a direction they could go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even if you could balance that out by raising, his power from 8 to
Sure. Yeah.
something more meaningful, because I mean, we are talking about a character that, if I do remember this correctly, it's Professor X and Magneto merged, right? Like
It's like the evil sides of their
the
consciousness or
evil sides of
something
both
like
of them.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's in ons if I also, if I remember it correctly, I mean, Onslaught killed the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, the Iron Man. He killed them all, right? Like, so I think he should be a little bit more powerful than that. But yeah.
Probably the variant of yours that I see the absolute most of. War Machine is a 5/9 ongoing. Nothing can stop you from playing cards anywhere. Where are you at with how good this card is at winning games of Marvel Snap?
I loved him.
Okay.
I loved him. I used to combo him with Infinaut a lot. Being able to play him without the restriction that Infinaut had was always a fun one. And it was also great because at the time when I was playing him, there was a lot of like, I think this got changed where you could still play a card down even if Professor X was there. I don't think that they can do
You
that
can play
anymore.
a skill in a Professor X lane.
Ah, yeah.
But you can't play a card. No. But like he still works through Professor X. You could still use him to beat Professor
Oh, you
X.
could still put it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But currently Professor X is a little bit weaker than he was because you can move stuff into Professor X now even through his effect, and you can play skills in Professor X now even through his effect. But War Machine is still one of the best ways to beat Professor X if that's what you're interested in doing.
Yeah, yeah, and also a combo with Storm, where you shut down a lane and they think that they're gonna win it, and you're like, no, that's still I get to play over there, and it could either be a small amount, as long as you get above just a little bit, you're gonna lock down that lane. So, I've always loved War Machine as a card. Super fun to play. I was really glad when he came out, and I had fun doing this illustration. It was a lot of fun.
Some pretty specific metagame context to be
Mhm.
good. Like, you named a bunch of specific things. It's like, yeah, he does work with Storm, all that stuff, the Infinaut stuff, that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
That stuff's only good as long as 20 power matters. And so
Right.
what this guy's metagame dependency is actually kind of not about himself. It's about, is the Infinaut winning a lane? And like when the Infinaut is winning a lane, then you play War Machine so the Infinaut can go ahead and win you lanes. And so when
Yeah.
people are playing like Electro decks, you play Electro, he says you can only play one card a turn, but he gets you to 5 energy, you play him, suddenly you can play more than one card a turn. You're playing the Infinaut, you're playing some other stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
Those decks are very capped in terms of their numbers, though. And in recent
Mm.
metagames, we've kind of gone away from that kind of stuff. But I did want to ask, you said this was one of your favorite illustrations to do. What'd you like about it?
I'm just a huge Iron Man, universe fan, it some of the more recent comics, I can't remember the actual series, but one of the artists really took it to an extreme level of like, War Machine could just grab any kind of weapon and absorb it into his suit, and the visuals of that was just cool, and I was just trying to kind of pay homage to that. And I remember at the time that I was doing this illustration, I believe XM Studios, which is a statue company, they put out a really rad, massive War Machine Hulkbuster s version. And he had giant rail guns and tons of guns all around him, and I was like, well, I'm gonna just try and do the best I can, and kind of put him back into a smaller suit, but have the same amount of guns.
To what degree were you going for a sort of are you trying to give the viewer the impression of like, wow, this is way too much firepower? Or are you trying to give the viewer the impression of like, he's just dealing with something that requires this?
It was more along the lines of because I did know what the card did.
Okay.
And it was just like, it was kind of one of those like, well, how do I draw a War Machine that invokes the feeling of, surprise, I can handle more than you can think. You know what I mean? Like, and tons of guns coming from nowhere.
Yeah.
Kind of did that. I think.
How often does that happen that you know the effect of the card and
Not
that like
often.
incorporates in? Okay, so this is like one of those two
Not
where
often.
you're just like,
Yeah.
because you're right. Now that you pointed out, it does read as surprise. Like it does
Yeah.
actually read like that. It's like, oh, okay, that's really nice.
Like I can have guns show up anywhere. You know, like yeah.
We did sort of cover him already in the
Yeah.
previous topic, but I would be
Yeah.
remiss if I didn't at least take a couple seconds to say I really like your Infinaut, and not for the normal reason, but because I just really like the colors and the glowy orbs. I'm just like a lot of Infinaut, like it's hard to do something with this guy. I get the sense that it's like he's just a big guy. Like that's the character, right? And
Yeah.
so a
Yeah.
lot of the art is just like, okay, I drew a really big guy. And I just like, how did you arrive on like the actual thing that's drawing the eye here is the circle that is his helmet and then a bunch of orbs?
I just so in a lot of the film work and a lot of the concept artwork, um, I'm that I've done in my career, I didn't really get a chance to do wild colors. And, at the time, Jamaro was my main contact, and we were just talking about Infinaut, and he was like, break the norm, have fun with this one, like to see what this one was my actual very first card for Marvel Snap. And I was just very excited to do it and kind of break out and start doing more posed characters, because traditionally in a lot of the concept art that I do, it's more costume design related, where it's just a stagnant pose. It's like front and back. I don't really get to do dynamic posing. So this was like kind of me stretching my legs and seeing what I could do with an actual dynamic pose with all the Kirby. I was trying to like envision like what in a 3D space would a Kirby orb and Kirby crackle look like.
Yeah.
And this was kind of what I came up with at the time, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, because it's just I've like they all have the Kirby crackle around that. And what I find fascinating is like, is it coming out of the camera slash gun slash whatever is going on back there? Or is it like native to him in ways that like when you were doing this, what did you envision the action of this was?
Well, I wasn't super familiar with Infinaut, so I had to do a little bit of research and watch a bunch of YouTube videos on who he was and how he, came to be. And the overall sense and feel for him was something like, um, I was always a big fan of what universe was that from? In the Fantastic Four universe, they had in the Ant-Man universe, the Quantum Verse, right? The
Yes.
super, super tiny, right? Well, this was like kind of like the reverse, right?
Yeah,
So
he's from
I
a
was
universe
like,
where
well,
everything is big and they can't understand him. I read
Yeah.
this comic. I
Yeah.
actually read
Yeah, okay.
this.
So, I was like, well, he'd have immense cosmic energies just floating
Sure.
around him, and like maybe these are gases that he's captured that, you know, wherever he travels, he might leave cosmic residue behind him, and maybe that's what causes a star. I don't know. I was trying to think really out of the box of visualization of like this stuff that's around him, like the green energy is like a plasma that he's harnessing in order to travel from universe to universe and change his shape and size and all that. So
It's definitely a unique
power.
take. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. God, that was so fun to do.
Next up is Iron Lad. 4/7 on reveal. Copy the text of your deck's top card.
I think I had the worst luck with him.
Mm.
It would never pull the card that I wanted. It just never worked out for me. Like maybe 1 in 10, but I would see you guys play and then like I'm like every time they're getting great cards. Am I building my decks wrong? I don't understand. So no, but I really liked him. I like him as a character in the comic. Really interesting take. He was also kind of one of my introductions to how deep the Kangwell goes.
Oh my god.
Right? Like Wow. I was like, I mean, I thought I knew who Kang was, but man, he is the Rick Sanchez of Marvel. I would say, if anything, Rick Sanchez is a copy of Kang due to the time in which he was created. But
I thought,
I mean,
hold on. Rick
yeah.
Sanchez is clearly a copy of Mr. Fantastic, if anything.
Well,
The
true,
Council
but he's
of
a little
Ricks,
bit more
the
evil.
Council of Reeds. Come on. No, you're
Which was
right. It's the
first?
same.
Which
I
was
actually,
first, the
yeah.
Council of Kangs or the Council of
That's
Reeds?
actually a good point. I don't know who
I
was
don't know.
first. I don't know who
Hmm.
was the first guy to do that, but you're right. It might actually have been Kang.
It seems like an evil thing to do.
It does seem like an evil thing to do, which sort of raises the question why they had Reed do it anyway.
Well, didn't it kind of come out that the Council of Reeds were kind of
they were
not
kind
great?
of evil, yes. Like
Yeah,
they were.
yeah.
I remember I read that one as well, yes. And they've done plenty with evil Reed Richards in
Yeah.
Marvel Comics. That's a pretty common well to go to.
I love that series. Oh my god. So good.
But yeah, I think Iron Lad is a card that when he first came out was uniquely good because we were in a metagame where a lot of decks were just a bunch of good cards. And we didn't
Yeah.
necessarily have a bunch of good cards in Marvel Snap. Like, if you could just
Yeah.
get 12 cards that were beneficial effects, getting a second copy of one of those effects at a good rate was just like a totally acceptable thing to do back in the early days. I have a
Oh,
distinct memory of playing like an Iron Lad Black Bolt deck in a
ooh,
drive-through in 2023. And that being like, yeah, this is awesome. This is amazing. But that was when we had fewer good cards. And now that we
yeah.
have more good cards, there's a lot more competition for him because instead of playing something that is randomly hitting something, you're playing something, you could play something that you know is going to be synergistic with your deck. And
Mhm.
it's a lot more about synergy and a lot less about I'm playing something that's just going to be good. And that's going to be better than what you're doing. We're not
Yeah.
in that world anymore. And so Iron Lad has sort of been left behind outside of some pretty specific considerations.
If there was something that you would change about him, what would it be?
The easy answer is to just say more power, but honestly, I would like him to cost less. That's the thing that I think would make him like the most interesting is if he was a little bit cheaper and more easily able to weave into your curve, because that would also mean that there's a bigger upside on hitting something with really cool text with him, right? I think
I
it's
agree.
hard to make me want to play a 4 that I don't know what I'm getting out of.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's on the later side of the end of the game, right? Like, it turn 4, you already know. Usually, I at least I felt like you already knew what you were gonna do in the next 2 steps.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And like I think it's good that there are cards like this that can change that stuff up. But I do think that like if you just ask me like what would you do to make this card stronger, I would make him cheaper. And I would take some
Yeah.
power off to make him cheaper. But like I just think that like that would be a direction I'd want to go with him.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Destroyer, a 618 on reveal, destroy your cards at other locations. What do you think about big guy, big downside?
Interesting. Interesting. I played him a little bit in destroy decks, especially with, I think it was really big to do, if you had a Wolverine or if you had, Nimrod. Um, and then later on, if you were somehow able to go to a turn 7 and play Null afterwards, like that was always fun. If I'm remembering that correctly. I didn't play him as much as I thought I would. Uh, I wanted more synergy with other Asgardian characters.
Yeah, this guy was when the game first came out, there was like a Spectrum Professor X Destroyer deck where your big thing with your ongoing cards was like either I'm going to play for exactly 2 lanes by playing
Mm.
Spectrum and then just play Destroyer as like a really big guy, or by playing Professor X and then he protects my guys from being blown up and I've won that lane and then I play
Mm.
Destroyer, or I'm going to go wide with Spectrum. And that was like one of the first best decks in the game a long, long time ago. And since then, Destroyer has mostly been kind of a gag character where it's like, yeah, this is cool, but and they also did something to him, which is he used to destroy all of your cards except for him. and not just your cards at other locations. And
Oh,
that actually made him a little bit worse with Nimrod. Because if you had a
yeah.
Nimrod in his lane, he used to destroy that. And then he stopped destroying it. It's like that
Well, that kind of defeats the purpose of him then.
a little bit. Like it
Yeah.
is one of those things where it's like, I think they made him, it's hard to do balance in card games, right? Because he
Yeah.
had a specific role and they made him stronger outside of that role. But nobody plays him outside of that role, and they made him weaker in the role that he was supposed to be playing. And I think that that's like definitely like, oh, right. Yeah, that is weird, isn't it?
Yeah. It is very strange that they made that change. I wonder, I mean, I just don't remember any of, you know, I don't remember any drama with him being
No?
too powerful, or I mean, but that's the other thing. Like I didn't really feel like he was a game changer
Yeah.
either, you know. Um which, you know, in terms of comic book lore, he was, you know, but yeah, I wish I wish we saw more play with him.
Hey, you wanna guess what my
Yeah.
favorite part of the art is?
What's it?
It's the lasers. It's the lasers.
Yeah, yeah. I wish there was some way to have him you know, shoot the lasers in many different directions
Oh,
as you
so
rotated the card,
that'd
you
be
know.
so sick. Like
Uh
if there was a focal point that like, you know, like those
yeah,
paintings whose eyes follow you. Like,
that'd be so cool.
that'd be so
I tell you what though, some of the unsung heroes of this game are those VFX artists that really, you know, I do the illustration, but they really make the magic and make it
yeah.
feel come alive,
So like
and
when
that's
you
been
gave
great.
them this, the
Yeah.
animations were not something that you gave them. That was added.
No,
Okay.
no. And I, you know, normally they don't ask, but if I've imagined something, like I might leave a layer, you know, and just be like, hey, I was thinking this, but do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like I might do that once in a while, whenever I pass it off. But yeah, the team of artists that add all the parallaxing and the special effects, really really amazing. And as a 2D artist, it's so fun to see your stuff kind of come alive. It's really cool.
Yeah, because you kind of go like if I'm understanding your process correctly, it's sort of
Yeah.
like you go from 3D to 2D and then they go to 3D again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like,
Pretty much. Which is interesting because in my concept art job, whenever I did stuff for and concepted out some you know, let's say like weapons for prey, right? Uh what's unique about that is because I started in 3D and the paint over, you know, once that gets approved, I just go back into the 3D and make those adjustments, and then they 3D print that file.
that's
So
crazy.
it's like it's almost 1-to-1 what you see on the screen. Um and you know, you get to collaborate with other artists and print some of that stuff out, and it's been super fun to do that as well.
Can I tell you this is the variant of yours that I regret not buying the most?
Really? Oh
Yes.
wow.
I regret not I love the little close-up face variants. You're not the only person they have do them, but they tend to be like they tend to give them to artists who do like relatively photorealistic stuff. And so I have one for The Thing, and I have one for Abomination, and I have one for a couple other ones. And this is one of those ones where it's just like, I don't know, it's such a different take on how cards are done in Marvel Snap. This is like a very zoomed in perspective that we just typically don't get. Almost everything else in this game is a full body shot, or at the very least, like a couple, like some hands are in there, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
torso up kind of deal. And
Yeah.
Doom 2099 is one where it's just like, first of all, it's a card that I like that isn't necessarily related to how strong it is. It's just a card I particularly enjoy the execution of.
Yeah.
And this is one of the best Doom 2099 variants in the game. But how good
Oh, well,
is
thank
Doom
you.
2099? Like, let's acknowledge that we've maybe lost the plot of this video a little bit, and we're kind of just talking about stuff. That said, I'm
I'm
gonna
sorry.
try.
I'm sorry.
How
Yeah.
good do you think Doom 2099 is?
I loved him. I played the crap out of him when he came out. But I'm a huge fan of Doom in general. So getting to do Doom 2099 also in the style and in the vein of Marvel Rivals, which was at the time and still is my crack cocaine. I
So wait, hold
play
on.
that
In this
religiously.
analogy, if that's like your crack cocaine, what is Snap? Is it like your, I don't know, Zin? Like what's like
Yeah, I would say I play Marvel Snap when I'm trying to relax.
yeah.
I would say that, but when I'm wanting, super high octane, action, uh, Rivals is where it is. But that's just comes from my love of like, first person shooters and hero shooters.
Sure,
I don't
sure,
know. I
sure.
don't know if you can see this, but I literally have
Oh my god.
WASD on my knuckles. So yeah. I've been playing, that since the beta or the play test, and I was
Sure.
like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna lose my game or I'm gonna lose my life to Marvel Rivals as soon as it comes out." But yeah.
So
But Doom, let's get back to Doom. Sorry. Doom 2099 was in a lot of my decks. I loved the synergy. Um he felt like some of the same game mechanics as Ultron, but with a kick, right? And yeah, I had a lot of fun making this card. And normally, like a lot of my stuff in production for movies and stuff, um, I would always be asked to do like portraits, to start with. So this was like kind of a return to, oh, I can nail portraits, any day of the week. And this was really fun to do. This is really fun to do.
another shout out to the unsung heroes here. The animations on his
Yep.
hood and the lasers on his eyes. As usual, ask me what my favorite part of the card is. It's like there's
The
some lasers
lights.
happening. I
Yeah,
love it,
yeah,
right? This
yeah.
is this is a card that goes on and off, right? Because Doom 2099 has a very high skill floor, which is to say,
Mm,
pretty much everyone understands what this card is asking you to do. So if it's strong enough to be really good at a top end, you and your opponent both know what's happening. The lower down, it becomes even stronger
oh yeah.
because maybe your opponent doesn't know what's happening, right? Like at a high end, when you're playing a telegraphed strategy where it's like, it's pretty clear what your final turn is going to be. It's pretty clear what your fifth turn is going to be. We all know what this deck does. We can all
We
do
all know what's
math and we
coming.
can
Yeah.
count. Like I know that if you play a Doctor Doom on the final turn of the game, I know what the board state's going to look like, right? But that doesn't necessarily get leveraged everywhere. So this is a card that's gone through a billion different balance changes as they try to figure out where is an acceptable place for him to land, because he is
Yeah.
undeniably the core of an extremely cool and evocative deck. You just play a bunch of Doctor Dooms. It's so sick. But whenever he's too strong, he gets too strong way too fast and
Yeah.
in a way too ubiquitous manner. Right now, I
Yeah.
think he's a little bit under is where I would say. Like, and I think that's probably the safe place for him to be, but he's a card that's like, I really want to try him again, you know? Like I like every
Oh,
so
absolutely.
often I'm like, I should play the Doom 2099. And then all my friends who are good at this game just rip on me. Like, why would you play the Doom 2099? Man, like stop coping, right? Like you get a
He was
lot of
fun.
he's
He's fun to
cool.
play. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I would say he needs a little bit of love
I
nowadays.
here's the thing is
When
I
he
don't
came
know
out,
if
he
he
was
needs
a
a little
force
bit
to
of
be
love.
reckoned with, but
I don't know if
I
he
don't
needs a
know.
little bit of love. Like I worry that if they give him a little bit of love,
He's
he's
gonna
one of
be
those cards. You
overpowered
give him a
again.
little bit of love, and he goes a long way with a little bit of love. Like there's a line that once you cross it, it's really hard to reel him back in.
Yeah, yeah. I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
You also did a Doctor Doom, and I think we already covered Doom 2099. We don't need to hew to the format here. Uh, just tell me what your favorite thing about making this Doctor Doom was. He's like an incredibly iconic character in Marvel everywhere at this point. Like he's the most accomplished man in different fields across the Marvel universe. A sorcerer, a scholar, an intellect, and a guy who has mad drip. So
Yeah.
what
Well,
was the highlight here?
Doom prevails.
Mhm.
That's about all I could say about that. But no, Doom has been one of my favorite villains forever. Um even in the video game, going back to Marvel versus Capcom, or just calling him in as a side person, or it was just always a fun character to play as. And comic book wise, I'm a huge fan. I someday hope that they assign me Supreme Doom. I would love to do the Sorcerer Supreme version of Doctor Doom. Oh my God, I would love to do that one. As a character, he's my favorite because he is, the worst nightmare of Doctor Strange and Iron Man combined into one, right? Like, he is a master of technology. He is a master of the mystic arts, and he doesn't stop. He is the quintessential villain, I think, in Marvel. I'm excited to see where it goes in the movies.
Yeah.
But I've always loved that it is as high tech as his armor looks. On the inside, it's like covered in glyphs and runes.
I was going to ask about the
and
sigils
yeah.
on the shoulder.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted
Yeah.
to bring a little bit more of the magic part out in his armor. And that's, that was a lot of fun, was doing a little bit of research into mystical symbols and all that stuff, and adding that to his armor, to kind of give that that look and that feel of that. Oh, he's not just a guy that builds robots. He's a force to be reckoned with. And
Yeah.
I tried to put some of the little teasers of the mystical stuff of the books and cosmic cubes at his feet, surrounding him, just showing that he's dabbling in the mystic arts, right? So
Yeah, like, he's a weird combination of 21st century and 11th century.
yeah,
And the breadth of the Marvel universe is such that both of those things can work. And I think that's one of the coolest things about Marvel, is that, like, this is a world where there are a bunch of spells where you yell something like, "By the bolts of Balthak," and it just does stuff, right? And then there's also, like, AI robots, and he's the only guy really seemingly who has taken a scientific viewpoint and bridged that with the mystical in, like, it's sort of how a real person would do that, right? Like, you get a lot of people in Marvel who, like, you sort of have to suspend the disbelief of this guy being smart because you've seen magic happen and you're not
yeah,
researching magic. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, man, how smart are you, right? And
yeah.
Doom, a guy who will take any option, and I think that, like, really helps his characterization.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the other side notes to him is I used to love that in the comics, that they'd throw everything they had at Doom, and then they would defeat him and realize this was just a robot. He was at home, like,
Chilling.
drinking a beer,
Yeah.
when like, suckers, like like this was all a ruse. I love that kind of villain, that you never know if you're really fighting him or not.
Yeah, somewhere between Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and Professor Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Let's talk about one of my favorite visual bugs in Marvel Snap, the fact that whenever you look at Ultron, the drone shows up behind him and it looks like it says Ultron, which is how I imagine Ultron would be pronounced in an Italian accent. Uh, this is
Ultrone.
Ultrone. This is a banger, though. This is a
Yeah.
great variant with a ton of, I'm sure you'll be shocked to learn that I love the glow work on this. A ton of really cool effects on it. How good do you think Ultron the card is, though?
I loved him. I loved comboing him with, like, what was it? Is it Patriot that
It
does
is
the
Patriot, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Patriot. I love, using Mystique to copy Patriot, uh, Ultron, and then, if you can fit Wong in there. That was always fun. Um, I loved playing him. I think I still play him. I think I still have a deck that is all Ultron based. Yeah, no, I really like the card. Um, I wish he filled up all empty
Sure.
spots.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I
But
actually
that's
don't
still
know why
broken,
he
right?
can't do that. That actually is, like, kind of
Yeah,
a
I don't
like,
know. Yeah,
I Ultron's kind of a card that I like a lot more than most people who play this game a lot, which is to say he's not very good. But there's just something fundamentally appealing to me about not having any empty spaces on the board. It's like, oh, I didn't waste anything. I used all of my resources, right? Like they're all filled. There used to be functional, viable Ultron decks. It used to be a lower ceiling game, but now, unfortunately, like maybe if Patriot was a little cheaper, maybe if he gave a bigger buff, maybe this would be the kind of thing we could do again. But Ultron has just sort of gotten ceiling checked by a lot of other more synergistic combo decks that are able to combine their cards in multiple ways. Whereas the Ultron Patriot stuff is always super on rails. Oh, you didn't draw Patriot? Oh, you didn't draw Ultron? Well, good luck, right? Like, and
or heaven forbid you play Jubilee and
you
get
like
pulled in on a turn 3 and you're like, well, crap.
I imagine the majority of the player base's experience of this card is getting him off of an X mansion and closing the app. Like, just like,
exactly. Yeah. Oh God. So many times.
Yep.
So many times where you're like, no, why? Why now? Oh yeah. But I guess that is Ultron, right? He's always been a thorn in everybody's side, right? Like good or bad, he's showing up to every party.
He certainly is. All right,
with an entourage, right?
We're on the last card of today.
Okay.
And it is Cerebro. Now, this is gonna be I'm gonna take a turn here. And my favorite part of this card is not the glowy effects, it's the Professor X silhouette. I've changed it up just for once. Yeah. So I guess first things first, walk me through the process for drawing something like this, because Cerebro feels like maybe the toughest assignment in Marvel Snap, because you're drawing a hat. And like there's a lot of cool stuff about the hat, but it's a hat.
It was difficult for me because I was like, well, I need to, like, at first I remembered a lot of the sketches that I sent to kind of get the approval for which, how do I want to take this one, were very much in the vein of just concept art, where it was just, an off angle shot of a well rendered helmet, and I was like, but I got to tell a story. And normally with a lot of the stuff that we create and illustrations that we make, it's never just a straight on shot, right? And then I was like, I don't think they're going to approve this, but I'm going to try my best, right? And a lot of the other angles I had was just like, the helmet was hovering on a disc that had an X, it was like very techy, and that it was just sitting there waiting to be used, right? And what I wanted to do with this one is really just kind of pay homage to the guy that used it the most, right? Which was Professor X. So I really wanted to try and capture the feeling of, even though I would say, like, looking at it from like the first X-Men movie, that big room in where Cerebro was very iconic, and I was set in my mind where it was like, well, what's it like if you put the camera at the end of that, and what do you see at the very end was that X door, right? So I was just like, well, how can I sneak Professor X in here? And it was just with a silhouette as the door opens, like he's getting ready to use it. So, at first, I don't think I even put the Professor X silhouette in there. And I was scared to, because I was like, well, he's not in the brief. Like, if I try to add something that's not in the brief, they're probably going to say no. And this got approved for the front angle, and then I threw him in halfway through a revision, and they were like, we love this. So that's the story of Cerebro. So that was a lot of fun.
I'll also say another unsung heroes shout out is, like, there's a dynamic where if you get it at the exact right angle, it looks like it's on top of his head, which feels to me like when you're watching like an old school screensaver and just trying to watch like the DVD menu to bounce into the corner. Yes. I really love that they got it, because like we're gonna sit bang, right? Like it's a very short moment. But it does go over his head in such a way that it perfectly lines up if you finish a full rotation at some point. And I think that's just sick. That's just a really sick little thing that they put on there. But, we're going to pretend this is still a format. How good is the card?
This is one of those that I never really played.
Okay.
I didn't see I didn't see the value when you had. I mean, this was also early on because Cerebro was a pretty early card, if I
Yeah,
remember
he used to say
correctly.
+2 also.
Yeah.
Used to be worse.
I just didn't see the strategy, and I didn't have the cards to fully implement Cerebro at the time in which he came out, right? I was more, I mean, I feel like I was just I was just trying to play Infinaut as much as I could. I think,
Yeah, it's hard to play
early on
Cerebro
in those
20.
days, right?
It's hard to
Yeah,
play
it's
Cerebro
kinda
20. You can't really do that.
it's like, what are we gonna do with Cerebro, right? But in terms of, do I think it's a good card? I think it's a good card, but I think it needs love.
I'll say this. The current world champion of Marvel Snap, the Golden
Yeah.
Gauntlet world champion, did it with Cerebro 3. And that's not to say
Really?
like it's always going to
Okay.
be a good deck or anything like that. It was a great metagame call, which
Mhm.
is kind of me patting myself on the back a little bit because he took Cerebro 3 because I told him to take Cerebro 3. But so there's a little bit of like, oh, it was a great metagame call. Yeah, of course I
Yeah.
think that, right? Like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't I think that? But I do think that like where this deck really shines is that the engine of the points is so cheap and repeatable. And that's what makes Cerebro good is like, yeah, there's a bunch of things that can go wrong. But since they made that buff go to +3, when it goes right, you actually are competing, beating even almost anything. And I think that like them finally getting the card to that position was a really good thing for Cerebro. And it's not every Cerebro deck, but I would say more often than not, there is a playable Cerebro deck in the metagame. And that's not how it used to be. This card was the meme card back when you actually like played a lot of this game. It was the
Yeah.
joke, right? Like it was like
Yeah.
the gag was the Cerebro challenge where you had to play all the Cerebro decks. You were forced to play them. It's like it was
Yeah.
not a card that like I think it was on a lot of people's radars. Like this is a serious contender, and it has become one over the past year or so where this is like a for real card.
Yeah.
Before we go though, I just want to throw it to you. Is there just stuff you want to talk about, things you want to promote? Where can people find you? Where can they find your art? Do you sell prints and stuff? Like what helps you here?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I mean, it's with how the industry has been, I've really enjoyed working on Marvel Snap. Getting to play in the sandbox that is Marvel has always been a childhood dream come true, to do these things. When I first started doing art when I was in high school, I always wanted to be a comic book artist. And this was back before internet access was possible, so, seeing to how it is today and how I've gotten to in my career meet some of my art heroes, getting to um, Stephen Platt is an amazing Moon Knight artist, and comic book artist in general. Getting to become friends with him, as well as just make friends with other people like John Boy Myers. He's amazing. I remember I was lucky enough to work on Black Adam, and the production designer he knew I was a comic book fan, and he was like, "Well, you got approval from the head honcho on this one," and it was just like approved and now canon Jim Lee. Like I was just like, "Oh my
That's
god,
so
that's
cool.
insane!"
Yeah.
Like I'm just sitting here geeking out. Like I would love to, have a chance to, talk with Jim Lee or Mark Silvestri or Todd McFarlane, Greg Capullo, all those guys. I love. I've just loved comic books for as long as I can remember. And you can find me, most of I post most of my stuff on Instagram, jfields217. You can, if you want to look at my body of work, it's justinfields.com. Not the football player, but
insanely funny that you have that website, by the
Yeah.
way. Like
yeah. Once in a while, I'll get an email like, hey, do you want to sell your domain? And I'm always like, I know who wants it, so you got to raise those numbers, right? But that's been, that's the best way. I don't currently have any kind of a store or
Okay.
anything, Because a lot of the stuff I do is all not owned by me,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But I would say that recently I'm getting back into doing stuff on my own, creating my own properties and my own things that I want to do. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to find me and find out whenever I put those out into the ether. I'll be back in California for Lightbox Expo, which is a great artist convention ran by some of the best in the world, and it's always been an honor to be a part of that. And man, I'm drawing a blank. And please, more Marvel Snap cards, please. I want to do more.
We'll leave it right
I
there.
love doing it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Please, more Justin Fields, more Marvel Snap cards, and that's how we're gonna end the video.